Doing week 12 in college football here at SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with returning guest, very popular Jeff Grant, sports betting writer from the Bleacher Report. Jeff, thanks for being back with us this week.
Great to be with you, Peter.
Okay, the first game I assigned you was Stanford at Oregon. Now this is kind of developing into kind of an interesting game because Oregon, of course, dominant, awesome team. Last year they won by 23, but it was still a huge ATS loss for Stanford. 2 years ago they won by 21, another huge ATS loss. Here they are, they're favored by 20.5 points. That line's gone down a little bit. The thing is, though, Oregon's having some serious injuries on the defensive line, even though, you know, their replacements did fine. And in their last game against Cal's obviously a team in shambles, actually hung with Oregon for about half that game. Stanford now has a new quarterback that's maybe transformed the team a bit. So, you know, as much as I, would never want to bet against Oregon until they, become a different team, for, Oregon games for me are either a bet on or a pass. Do you think Stanford might be the play here?
I do think Stanford's a play, but once again, we run into a situation where taping a video on Tuesday, you already mentioned that the line has already moved, and it's been a very significant move when looking at the first line that hit the board, and that was Bet Online on Sunday afternoon, opened up the Oregon Ducks as a 24-point favorite. Now you're hard-pressed to find a 21 in the market. I think that's the only number. It's very critical to get the best number in this game of sports handicapping, but it's even more so when you're going against possibly the best scoring offense in the history of college football. So every point is valuable. The only way that I can really play this game is taking Stanford. If you can get 21 points, they're 2-0 as an underdog this year. They covered and beat USC straight up earlier in the year at Stanford, and then they went on the road and lost to Notre Dame. But they covered that game, and that was a controversial ending with Notre Dame basically picking up a fumble on the goal line. So in my opinion, take the points in this contest, Peter.
Okay, even at 20.5, I don't know about that.
I don't think you can play it at 20.5 based on the fact that you're going against, once again, the best offense in college football, one that has just broken the NCAA record for scoring 42 or more points in 13 straight games. So it's very, very hard to go up against that factor. But Oregon hasn't faced a very difficult schedule. It was very light. It's gotten heavy at the end. And if you look at their past performances during the Chip Kelly era, the odds makers have had a very hard time keeping up with this team in terms of what type of point spread that they should put on them. But toward the end of the year in November, they don't have a very good spread record. So once again, I think that's a reason. And you're also, Stanford is one of the best road teams in college football, even though they don't have Andrew Luck anymore. 11-3-1 on the road since 2010. So once again, you got to get 21 if you're going to play this game, though. That's absolutely essential.
Okay, but what about this? You mentioned Oregon, the best college football offense in the history of college football. And then you got Stanford, a sort of rejuvenated offense with the new quarterback. Oregon having some pretty major issues on the defensive line. Total 64.5, which is high, but not in the stratosphere, maybe the over.
Every wager that I've seen in the market, and talking with my connections in Las Vegas as well, is on the over. Every single one of them. And what's significant, if you want to look at the total, I was looking at before we went on air here, is with the movement downward towards Stanford, the total has also gone down a little bit, and that's, that should be implied. If people are going to bet Stanford, then they're expecting the game to go under the total. Weather conditions, it's always important. It's the final factor when you're handicapping a game, especially this time of year. We ran into that problem on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football in the NFL with you may not be seeing the forecast 5 days prior when you first get in the betting market, but it starts showing up as forecasts get a little more credible toward the end of the week. It's something to keep an eye on. Showers expected in the state of Oregon, 40 to 60% chance. A few slip-ups here and there by Oregon may stall a couple drives, so maybe the under might be the play based on all the overaction that's been seen.
Interesting. And these bets that you've seen, are these from sharp guys or from just big square guys?
I think it's basically from square people. I think the sharps are going to wait for that weather forecast to come in because if it comes true, I expect the total to go down a little bit. Even though it's a turf situation, at Autzen Stadium there. It's not regular grass field, which would have helped Stanford in that regard. But Stanford's strength on the defensive end is that front seven with the linebackers, and a team on a wet track that normally likes to go east to west, doesn't like to go north and south in between the tackles, could allow Stanford to play a little bit with Oregon in that regard.
Okay, comprehensive preview as always. Jeff Grant, thanks so much.